Every morning, long before the sun climbed over the chaotic skyline of Lagos, Chinedu opened his small shoe repair stool beside the busy Ojuelegba pedestrian bridge. His workstation consisted of nothing more than a wobbly wooden stool, a rusted toolbox, an umbrella tied to a pole, and his warm, tired smile. At 33 years old, Chinedu had learned to survive on little. His hands were hardened from years of stitching torn sandals and patching battered sneakers. Lagos traffic roared around him all day, but he had learned to find peace in the noise. It wasn't riches he sought, only dignity. Every day he watched people rushing past him, students with backpacks, hawkers shouting, danfos honking, corporate workers stepping over puddles. He repaired their shoes with precision and honesty, charging whatever they could afford. But there was one person who always approached him differently. A slim teenage girl who kept her eyes fixed on the ground. Her slippers were always torn, always the same pair, always patched until they barely held together. At first, Chinedu thought she was just another struggling Lagos girl. But then he noticed something. She never went home. Her name was Ifeanyi, though Chinedu didn't know that yet. She appeared every evening around 7 p.m., quietly handing over her broken slippers. She couldn't be older than 16, but life had clearly been hard on her. Her dress was faded, her hair unkempt, her eyes tired but determined. "Brothers, you don't break again," she would say shyly. Chinedu always repaired them for free. "That's the third time this week," he would tease gently. "It's the only one I have," she would whisper. She never met his eyes. Something about her sadness stayed with him long after she walked away. Days turned into weeks. One night, when the crowd thinned and the danfo horns quieted, Chinedu packed up his tools, only to see Ifeanyi sitting near a closed kiosk, hugging her knees. He noticed she didn't seem to be waiting for anyone. "Where your people, Day?" he asked softly. She hesitated, then shook her head. It hit him. She was homeless, sleeping wherever the night found her, surviving on scraps, walking the streets barefoot if her slippers failed. Chinedu's heart clenched. "Come back tomorrow. I go fix him strong," he promised. She nodded, almost smiling. For the first time, one stormy night, Lagos rain poured like angry ocean waves. Streets flooded, cars stalled, people ran for shelter. Chinedu stayed under his umbrella, packing up his tools. Then he saw her again. Ifeanyi was soaked to the bone, shivering, barefoot, hugging her torn slippers. Her makeshift sleeping spot, cardboard under the kiosk shelter, was drenched. "Come here," Chinedu shouted over the storm. She approached slowly, embarrassed. "You no get anywhere dry to stay?" She shook her head, blinking away tears. Chinedu hesitated. He was a poor man, barely surviving himself. Yet something inside him rose with a strange sense of responsibility, almost protective. He removed his jacket and wrapped it around her shoulders. "Sit under my umbrella. Rain goes soon stop." She trembled, partly from cold, partly from disbelief. No one had treated her kindly in years. When the rain slowed, Chinedu reached into his bag and offered her a small food flask containing leftover beans. She stared at the food like it was gold. "You go chop?" he asked. She nodded, whispering, "Thank you, nobody ever." She couldn't finish. Her voice broke. In that moment, Chinedu realized he wasn't just repairing her slippers. He was holding together the last pieces of her hope. Weeks became months. Ifeanyi visited him daily, sometimes with torn slippers, sometimes just for the comfort of someone who saw her. Chinedu slowly pieced together her story. Her mother died when she was 12. Her father disappeared afterward. She had no siblings. She had learned to sleep in abandoned shops, markets, bus stops. "I just want small chance in life," she once said. He wished he could give her more. But how could a poor cobbler change anyone's destiny? Sometimes he blamed himself for not being able to do more. But Ifeanyi would smile and say, "Brothers, you day save my life every day." Little did they know, life was preparing a twist neither of them could imagine. It was a quiet Saturday evening. Chinedu was packing his tools when the ground began to tremble under heavy engines. Headlights flooded the street. People screamed, see convoy. When day happen? Dim dawn come arrest person?" 5 black armored Mercedes G-Wagons rolled into Ojalegba, each one shimmering with wealth, power, and mystery. Doors opened. 6 well-dressed security guards stepped out, scanning the entire area like hawks. Chinidu froze. The girl trembled. People ran. Some hid. Some filmed with their phones. Then, one guard pointed directly at Ifeanyi. "That's her." "Her?" Chinida's heart nearly stopped. The door of the lead G-Wagon opened. A tall man in a white agbada stepped out. Beside him, a dignified elderly woman followed, wearing coral beads and a geli that shone like the sunrise. They walked toward Ifeanyi. The entire street went silent. The woman knelt before the girl. "My daughter," she whispered, voice breaking. Ifeanyi staggered backward. "Mama." The woman burst into tears. And everything changed. People gasped as whispers spread through the crowd. The woman held Ifeanyi tightly, crying uncontrollably. Chinidu watched, stunned. The man in agbada began speaking. "We have searched for her for 4 years." He explained the story. Ifeanyi was actually the missing daughter of Chief Maduka, one of the wealthiest businessmen in Abuja. She was kidnapped at age 12 and escaped, but lost her memory for years. Her story had appeared on TV and newspapers. The family had never stopped searching. The chief held her hands, voice shaking. "Your real name is Adora Maduka, my daughter." The crowd screamed. Even Danfo drivers stopped their buses to listen. But in the middle of all the chaos, Ifeanyi turned to one person, Chinidu. She ran toward him and hugged him tightly, crying into his shirt. "This is the man that kept me alive," she shouted. "He fixed my slippers, fed me, protected me." The chief looked at Chinidu with deep gratitude. "You showed her humanity when we could not. For that, you are family." Chinidu felt tears burn his eyes. For the first time in his life, someone valued him. Life transformed overnight. The family insisted on taking Chinidu under their wing. They gave him a new shoe workshop, paid his rent for a better home, sponsored him to learn advanced shoemaking, introduced him to fashion designers who loved his skill. He went from struggling daily to becoming one of Lagos' most sought-after cobblers. Meanwhile, Adora, formerly Ifeanyi, healed and flourished. With therapy and time, her memories returned. But Chinidu wondered if the bond they shared would fade now that she lived a life of wealth. It didn't. In fact, it became something far deeper. On the day Chinidu opened his first official shoe boutique, a fully sponsored business, Adora arrived in a beautiful gown. She stood close to him. "Do you know why I survived on the streets?" she asked softly. He shook his head. "Because God knew I would meet you." Chinidu felt his heart stop. Adora reached for his hand. "You saved my life when you had nothing. Let me spend mine giving you everything." And before he could speak, she kissed his cheek. The crowd outside erupted in applause. The cobbler and the girl he saved, now a billionaire's daughter, had become inseparable. Months later, the streets of Victoria Island shut down for a ceremony broadcast live across Nigeria. Guests arrived in Rolls-Royces. Celebrities, business moguls, politicians. At the center of it all, Chinidu, wearing a rich wine-colored agbada. Adora, glowing in a gold lace gown. As they walked down the aisle together, people whispered, "Is that not the girl he used to repair slippers for? See how God works. True love day this life." Oh. When a minister asked who supported their union, the entire hall stood. Chief Maduka declared, "This man saved my daughter before I found her. Today he becomes my son." Adora smiled through tears. Chinidu's heart overflowed. From Cobbler's stool to the love of a princess. Life had rewritten his destiny. Years later, Adora would tell their children, "Your father fixed my slippers, but he also stitched back my life." And Chinidu would smile, remembering the cardboard hut, the rain, the tears, and the girl who changed everything. The world called their story a miracle, but they called it something simpler, love born from kindness.